Okay, so I did do a little trading today, nothing to write home about. So I'm just going to kind of go over this day. I did not record anything, and I just kind of want to talk about what we saw here so we can really understand things. Okay, so I just want to kind of move these to where we can see them properly, all put together, and we know what's going on. Let's talk a little bit about the beginning of the day. Now, the beginning of the day, which I'm actually going to pull the 10946 over for this. No, not right at this moment. We will in just a little bit. The beginning of the day, what happened is overnight, it made this huge move to the downside, right? And it's that overnight look. I was kind of anticipating it the way we were bouncing off of this resistance several times. What normally happens is it gets back below the zero line, does the roll, and boom, there it goes. So that's exactly what happened. It rolled above here and just dropped off into the abyss. And then it started the confusion. So looking at my 4181 first, when this happens, we have a ton of room to run back. It's our magnet. It's going to happen. It pulls back to the area. If you're looking at the 1597, you had right at, let's here, 830 is right here. You could possibly be thinking that it's going to roll to the downside here a little bit, but what's happening is you're making these major divergences where, yes, the price and the MACD are actually both leading higher together. You're just getting a lot higher movement in the MACD. So the price has come down, and it's almost equaled this previous movement. So it pushed up, it pushed down, and it's come down, I would say, about 90% of the way. But the MACDs push up and they come down probably about 20% of the way. That's a good sign that it's going to keep pushing up no matter the strength that you see in the EMAs. At the very least, push up towards the EMAs. And it keeps doing this, it keeps doing this. Now it started to roll off of the zero line on the 610 at that point. So it's a really good indication that it should keep going up. So here you had a nice strong push to the upside right as market opened. If you wanted to, you could have gotten in, somewhere right in here. There's a lot of opportunity there for sure. I don't know where this went. And you're going to have to excuse it. They're cutting the lawn next door. All these little pullbacks on the 233 were great places to enter this trade, but it is right as market opens. So you may have passed on it. It does look really pretty. Yeah, it overran the 233 zero line. I don't care. That's going to happen sometimes. It's more saying that these are wide and spread apart, so it's looking to continue up. You're getting the opportunity for the 610 to cross to the upside. You have some room back to that higher time frame EMA. You have a ton of room, which is this EMA right here. You've got a ton of room back to it. So when it goes all the way up, what happens is it pulls up, and it would be a little hard to catch the exit right about here, but there's a signal. You've got divergence right here, which says, hey, if you are trusting what this is telling you, then you probably want to get out with divergence, if not somewhere right in here, and you can see what's happening right here in the divergence when it really starts to pop to the downside. You could have used this for an entry short, definitely as it pulls back into the areas here. So there's some possibilities for short entries here, also back in this area as it's rolling below the zero line and continues to the downside. When it finally gives you some divergence to take the exit on the trade for the first portion. Second portion, there you go, divergence again right there. You can either hold on, hoping that it's going to break through the area. I'm not a big fan of doing that. I like to go ahead, and let's go ahead and move this up a little bit too. Okay, not exactly sure where I left off on this, got a little sidetracked. And I was looking at this next entry that I have marked, that I actually marked when I was just kind of looking at these pullbacks into the areas. I'm pretty sure I would have struggled to take this entry, basically mainly because of the MACDs leading higher here. than previous, although the strength is down. And you do have a major shorter pivot here, rolling below the zero line after the crossover. It's these that I'd like to see the divergence between the lower time frame pivots in order to take that. So probably would have passed on it, but if you did take it, obviously you've got a stall out here, potential for divergence. You can take the exit there. Holding on for a pullback is tough here because you've got a ton of room back to these EMAs in order to hold on. So the possibility that it could pull all the way back to these, as it does here, is not in my kind of warm and fuzzies for staying in this trade. It does pull back and give another short, and so I'm just kind of trying to pull all of these along with it. And here is the point where my 10,946 is starting to tell me that this move to the downside is over. I'm sorry. Yes, I'm looking at the 10,946 because this is what I looked at when I came in. I was like, whoa, look at that divergence at the bottom down here. EMA is still open. Even though we've crossed onto the other side here, we're just holding out at this support area. MACDs are leading higher on the 1597. So there's a lot going against this continuing down. And it does pull back and give short opportunities. Now, are these trades possibilities? Absolutely. I mean, I don't even want to mark them because I know personally I would not have taken them. With the EMAs open strong to the downside, yes, it is absolutely the right thing to do. I just wouldn't have done it, especially with my MACDs leading higher once we bounced off here. In both of these spots, I would have been really, really skeptical of this continuing down from here, but it did. And so what happens now is it starts to show the signs of turning back around to the upside. That happens. Actually, let's look at all these right here at this area. It's beautiful. It really just gives some reversal bar patterns. It creates a floor. It comes back and gives a reversal bar here. We've got reversal bars here. We have a floor here. MACDs are leading higher in every situation. Just look at these last pivots and look at the MACDs. When you reach those areas, they just kind of stop at that moment. And even here, nice reversal bar to push you to the upside. So could you have taken along there? Absolutely. I think that's one that I would have liked to see. You know, somewhere even up in here. Let's say you missed that first entry. These are opportunities that I see a lot of my students take. You'd have to be aware that you're taking it directly into the EMAs. But with the strength of this pop to the upside, the EMAs are anticipated to break. This area is anticipated to break. It's not looking to hold. And I like this nice little pop here. Now, I would be concerned with the zero line. So as it was coming into the zero line, I'm just going to kind of move this along so we can be in the same spot on all charts. As it's pulling into the zero line right about there, had I taken the long trade, promise you I'd be out because that stuff just doesn't make me nervous. I just don't like to, I know it tends to hold a lot, and there's a reversal pattern that I like to see happening right there, right about here. I probably would have been getting out there. It pulls back up again, gives you divergence here. So if I'm not out at that point, you can guarantee I am right there as it's giving divergence and some reversal bar patterns. All right, so then we get to where I started my day. It does pull back and give you the opportunity for a long here. It does. It pulls back. It shows you reversal bars. It's nice for it right here, honestly. With this touchback right here, that would be, not this one, it'd probably be right about here. Yep, there we go. So it's rolling above the zero line. It does give you opportunities. Rolling above the zero line here, pulled back, rolled back above. It was definitely the right thing to do, showing that strength that the MACDs are going to break through the area. So then we get up to the first trade that I took for the day. I think whenever I saw this, I told myself, well, you got a lot of room to run back to the EMAs. I know I said that. You've got a lot of room to run back to the EMAs. I had just kind of sat down here. I saw this pop up with the MACDs leading lower, and I feel like I chased it just a little bit. This is one where if you wait just a little longer for another bigger divergence to happen, that you have a better opportunity. Now, I know this has strength and momentum to the upside, so when I took it and this pulled back, I said, okay, great, we're doing good. And then I started seeing these closes up to the top, and I hesitated. My exit was, or my risk was initially way up here, and I had pulled it in to about right here. And then whenever I noticed that it was just really giving a little bit of a pop to the upside here, I decided it was probably better to go ahead and exit the trade. It would have hit my risk all the way up here had I stayed in, but there is better opportunities once this pulls back to take the short. And it does eventually go. So I think it was just a little early, quick on the draw, just not patient enough. And also seeing all this movement to the downside prior, my mind was going, okay, well, this is going to continue down once we hit this resistance area. And that's what happens when you decide to tell the market what it's going to do instead of listening to what the market's telling you. There were long opportunities. Yeah, I mean, if you're trading the 233, those are long opportunities. They are obviously going to be short-lived whenever you look at the MACDs and nothing is pulling up. And so with this also weak retracement to the downside in the EMAs, in the MACDs, it's not pushing up the way I would want it to see to know that this was going to continue pushing through. So I'm anticipating a bigger pullback. At this time, I was gone, but it's perfect for it. Look how it pulls back to just this crossover right here. Bar pulls down, closes at the top. As the MACDs are rolling, you have a beautiful reversal bar here. You have a beautiful reversal bar on your highest time frame right as it's still opening up, and MACDs are just smoking to the upside there. So it really gave some great opportunity to actually take that trade. It gave you a little bit of a floor. If you missed it, you had more opportunities. Yeah, this would be a little bit difficult for most people to take. You have more opportunities along the way to take the long trade. Well, since I was not available during that time, obviously I didn't take any of that. But as it continues up, it gets back above the area. It creates a ceiling right here. Double bar, triple bar, none of these able to even close at the top. So it tells you that if you're in it, you might want to go ahead and take a little break from it because you may get a decent pullback, which it does give you. I would not want to hold through any kind of pullback like that. So I'm taking my exit, knowing that I've got a lot of space to run back to the EMAs. At that point, it pulls back in. It gives you that great roll above the zero line, which obviously I missed as that first signal. But as I was sitting down, it pulled back. Whenever it was sitting out here, there was actually no reaction right here in the MACDs. So I just grabbed it when I could. And as I got to the resistance area, we started to have a bit of a slowdown. We were starting to have a bit of a slowdown here as well, so I just went ahead and took the exit. With anticipations to it to possibly continue up, considering how high we are above everything. But, when you gotta go, you gotta go. So it was time for me to leave, and I didn't take anything else that day, or today. There were more opportunities as it pulls back. Right here was the first opportunity, but that's a ton of strength going against it. Give it a little bit of time to slow down and take that entry. And man, here we are again. Right there would have to be it. With it pulls back and gives the pop to the upside. But as you can see, it kept going up, pulling back into the areas to give you a bounce, EMAs showing strength to the upside. And there we go, reaching the previous high from yesterday. Yes, from yesterday. Looks like it wants to keep going up. We do have a lot of space to run back to this area. So it could definitely give us a little bounce, pull back before it goes up. Makes me interested to see what tomorrow is going to bring. We have a nice reversal bar right at the area. So, yeah. Anyways, so that is today. And going to put this in for y'all so you can get an explanation of the day and know what you're looking for and why. These pullbacks are great for entries if you miss them. And so that's what, when this happened here, it was perfect. It had just pulled back and I had just pulled it up and I was trying to catch it right here, which honestly I probably could have with these snapping back like that, but it still gave me a great space to put my risk. My risk was down here. I was able to move it up pretty quickly. I was actually able to move it to a break even pretty quickly when these bars happened and the roll to the upside. So, these days haven't been much for me to write home about, but they're still in the positive. So what can I say? I will stick with it and appreciate everything that comes my way. So if you guys have any questions, be sure you contact me at motivated.trader.love@gmail.com, and I'll be happy to help you out.